Welcome back. This video is the second in the three-part guide to creating a campaign on Mailchimp. We're going to be looking at creating a list today and how to import it and set it up on Mailchimp. So to start off, we need a database of email addresses and names. That's the basic information that we need. This is likely to be on Excel, so you need to construct this yourself. If you've got a list of either your clients or your customers that you have, you need to input them to a spreadsheet. I'm using LibreOffice spreadsheet, but obviously Excel is more than enough. So once you've got your data into the system, you will need to organize it, and you can do that by putting it in basically how the data is. So we've got first name, last name, email address, telephone, birthday, and any extra data. So you might have 10 columns, you might have 2. The minimum we need is a name and an email address. So if you want, you can actually delete some of this as well, but we're going to keep it in because I'm going to show you how we input it. We'll delete these two rows of data there, and this entire row as well. We don't actually need the headers, so we can delete the headers, and then if we want, we can shift all of this data up just one. So if we get rid of that, we'll just delete the bottom off. So we just want to make sure that the data is set out like this: first name 1, last name 1, so we've got it all corresponding, telephone number and everything else. The reason we don't need the headers is because Mailchimp will do that for us automatically. So once we've got our data set out like this, we can save it, but we need to save it as a certain file. We need to save it as a CSV file. So if we go file save, this should be the same for any spreadsheet software, so we can call it whatever we want. We could call it newsletter mailing list, like that, and we need to put .csv at the end of it, or we could click this and go to .csv there. So we need to save it as a CSV for it to be recognized by Mailchimp. So hit save, and you can use text CSV format, and the character set at the default. It should be fine. So once you've got that, we can load up Mailchimp and get started on creating the list. So now we're on Mailchimp. We want to go to the list tab, which is at the top. On the lists tab, we need to create a list, so click that and it should load up this page. So we've got some information to fill out. The list name is what we're going to recognize it as, so we could continue with the theme and just call it newsletter mailing list. And the default from email address, this is the email address that people will reply to if they hit reply. So you want this to be recognizable, but also it obviously needs to be functional for you to be able to reply to any concerns that customers or clients may have. So you want to know and be using this email address. So if you want to put a personal one, you can, but it might not look professional if you're doing this for a business, but it will obviously need to be one that you can get a hold of easily. The default from name, this is basically the name of your company, so that they understand who this email is from, rather than, if you put a random or personal name in, they might not know. And then this section here, this is the how they basically signed up to the list. So if people have registered for this, or they've ticked a box, then you just need to remind them that that's why they're receiving this email. Keep it kind of simple so that it's easy to understand, but also gets to the point as well. The company/organization section, this actually might already be set up for you if you did this when you signed up, but if you haven't, you just need to include your address, city and postal code. Country and state, you don't have to include the phone, as that's optional. Form settings, you can enable double opt-in, which will send the contacts an opt-in confirmation, so when they subscribe they'll receive an email that's just making sure that that's what they want to do. And enable GDPR fields, this will help make your forms more compliant with the GDPR, which is the General Data Protection Regulation. And notifications, this is customizable completely, and it's always up to you, this section. It's basically how you want to be notified about how or when people subscribe or unsubscribe, and a summary of activity as well. So hit save once you've filled this out how you want, and then we can move on to setting up the list. Alright, so now that we've got the list, we can import some contacts. So we can create a form, or we're going to use the import contacts button here. So click on that, and then it will be a CSV that's already set up for us, so we can click next. And then we want to browse and upload the file that we saved earlier, so this will be obviously wherever you saved it. Okay, so we've got the newsletter mailing list uploaded. It'll upload and import now. So we've got some columns that we need to match. You can see it's already matched the email field because of obviously how it's set up, but we need to match these other four manually. So this is the first name column. We can see that because it's got the first name, so we just need to click make a selection and choose first name, then click save. Then this is the last name column, so we can go down to last save on the make a selection box, click save. That's already email, so we can save. Now if we don't want to include things like address and phone number, we could click skip, or we can obviously select address and then select phone number and then click save. Now that we've matched all the columns, we can move on to the next step. You can click skip if you don't want to include these, but we'll include them anyway. So we'll click next and it'll take us to the import screen. So we just need to click import at the bottom, and you can categorize imported contacts as either subscribed, unsubscribed or clean, so that's up to you. Okay, so it's been successful. 35 contacts were added to our list. So if we go back to the lists page, we can see that there are 35 subscribers. Click on it and we've got all of our contacts here. Now you want to make sure that these actually match up so that you're not sending it to random first names, random last names. I put the numbers in so we can see 16, 16, 16, 16, 16. So it's all been imported perfectly, and you can see that there's contact ratings and then obviously the date added as well. So we've got all the information we need and we have imported the list. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks for watching.